Have you ever wondered how people succeed in real estate and what steps they took to get there? If so, this podcast is for you. Your hosts, Selah and Eileen Prack, interview top experts in the real estate community to share with you their real estate journey and how they achieved massive success. Our goal is to provide you with valuable real estate resources and to help you apply it to your own real estate goal. Welcome to the How Did They Do It Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Eileen Prack, and today we brought on a fantastic guest for you, Daniel Martinez. Welcome to the show, Daniel. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love doing this, and I appreciate everybody that listens, and hopefully you guys learned something today. I don't know what she's going to ask me yet.
We'll keep you on your toes. It'll be fun.
You could try.
So Daniel, let's start off with something easy. Let's start off with if you can share a little bit about your background and how you got into real estate.
That is a great question. I like answering this question because I was a truck driver, and I like bringing that up because people that usually come into real estate, they're like, oh, it's only for people that had a leg up and they had money when they came in. I'm like, I didn't have any of that. I truck drove. I actually started my first company was a trucking driving company, and that was my first entrepreneurship journey. I kind of pivoted into real estate once that didn't work out. And I think this is for everybody as an entrepreneur. You kind of have to pivot and learn new things and adapt your strategy and adapt your target market per se, or whatever you're doing in entrepreneurship. So it's kind of like a ever-changing journey. And people always ask, like, what are you doing in 5 years? And you might ask me that, but I'm gonna answer right now is I have no idea. Whatever path opens up in front of me, I'll be on that path. The entrepreneurship journey is kind of like it zigs and zags and it goes up and down, and you never know what's going to lead you. You just have to I always say this too, is that entrepreneurship, if you survive long enough, you'll get there. And that's the entrepreneurship journey in a nutshell.
So truck driving, you must have seen quite a bit. I have to ask, what was the longest trip that you've ever had to do?
I drove regional for a very long time, which regional is I was living in Atlanta at the time, so I would travel like Florida, Alabama, North Carolina, Texas, not Texas, but North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and that was pretty much it. When I started my company, that was another story. So I was still living in Atlanta at the time. I drove down to Miami, I drove down to Vermont, I drove to Phoenix, and I drove to Salt Lake City, and that was the furthest extent from my truck driving endeavors, but they're all for good reasons. I actually drove to Salt Lake City for a real estate mastermind in my truck.
Oh, really?
I didn't want to pay a ticket, and I'm like, let me work while I'm doing this thing. So that was one of my trucking endeavors.
So after your trucking business, how did you decide which asset class you're going to focus on in real estate? Because there's so many things that you can get into.
That is another great question. And this is where I kind of pivoted. So I actually locked up like 3 houses, and all of them fell through for different reasons.
Like a personal home or for investing?
I was wholesaling. I mean, okay. I actually learned about real estate through podcasting because I was truck driving, listening to something to find something to pivot to. So while truck driving, I listened to podcasts on YouTube about real estate, learned about wholesaling. And then from there, once I got out of the truck and hired drivers, I was still operating the business and doing real estate. So I locked up a few wholesale deals that I thought were wholesale deals. One was just a bad deal, learning lesson. Another one I thought was a great deal. I put $1,000 earnest money, ends up being a terrible deal, and I lost my earnest money. A third one, the seller passed away Monday before closing. I had it assigned already. I was going to make like $27,000 when I was broke.
And they passed away. Oh my goodness.
The seller passed away. I had another deal. What happened with that? Oh, it was family members living in their extra house that they were renting. They stopped paying, so they couldn't afford the mortgage and their mortgage. I evicted their family members, took it all the way out, got them out, trashed the property out, got it to closing, and then it fell apart right at closing because there was a underlying credit card lien from the seller that the title didn't find out till closing day. And that's how I got into land.
Wow. So after wholesaling, then a couple of things didn't pan out as expected. Why land though?
It was and here's the reason why. While I was doing those houses, me and my partner now, we took the same wholesale course from Jalen White.
This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
I don't know if you've been in the real estate game for a while, but he was a 17-year-old kid teaching real estate wholesale. He got his first contract before he graduated high school. I'm like, that kid's going places. I want to learn what he knows. So I took me and my partner took his course at the same time. We ended up like falling into the land space somehow. He's like, everybody's talking about houses. I'm like, dude, let's check out this land stuff over here. So I kind of, after all my house deals fell through, I'm like, let me try it. Let me just try it. So I put up a PPC ad in Atlanta when I was living at the time, and a lady hit me up. She owned a property in Florida, and people were dumping on her property. So it was a city fines. She'd get mailed city fines from Florida. She's like, I just want to get rid of it. I don't know what it's worth. Just make me an offer. So I was so afraid to talk to the seller. I emailed her. So the lead came in through PPC. Emailed her. How much do you want for it? Like 15 emails back and forth. I figured out it was worth about 20 grand. I was like, if I can get this thing for 5, it's going to be a deal, because I know I can move it for 12, because the whole wholesale process, you sell it at a discount so you can sell it fast. So I told her, would you take $4,235.63? I just kind of made up a number and see if she took it. She's like, if you could do 5, I'll take it. I'm like, 5,000, that's exactly what I wanted. So I actually found it buying a marketplace 2 days later for 12. And the rest is history. Never talked to the seller, never talked to the buyer, and I made $6,000 on a lot I never saw or showed to anybody. And that's kind of how I got into land. It's a lot easier. You don't have to negotiate.
So I always have it's always interesting to hear when you know the price of the land, but could be potentially worth about $20,000, but automatically the mindset goes to, I want it for $5,000.
So you got to get and this is where land, you can get a 10% deal in land. Like, it's not unheard of. I probably could have got that. There's people out there that can get people. I've got a friend, my partner actually got free land. The seller just gave it to him. They didn't even want it. They're like, it's owed on back taxes, like $2,000. You can just have it. I'm like, all right, sign here. I have to give you at least $1 because we have to exchange monetary value. Okay, perfect. Sign it for $1, give him $1, and you take care of the taxes. Actually, we didn't even take care of the taxes. He actually just sold it with the taxes in place and had the new buyer pay for the taxes.
So what makes a land valuable then? Or like, what's your criteria of like buying land, or is it just anything that's available out there?
So it transitioned over time. Right now, I'm at a current point where I'm looking for very large land deals that make $100,000 or more per lot. We just contracted 350 acres for $3.5 million this week. So we're in the very large land space now, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for very large land deals. And the reason why is because what we found out is that bigger land deals are actually easier, and there's less people playing with it. Most people that teach land, they teach the small side. And this is where my partner actually had a deal early on. This is for everybody here. I always like telling this story too, because it kind of gives you insight to the land investing space as a whole. So we had a seller come in. I have a $30,000 lot. I want $15,000 for it. Already 50% deal. I mean, any person out there like, man, you get $15,000 in this deal right now just for buying it. My partner was like, I'll give you 8. And the guy's like, no, I need 15. I cannot take $8,000. He's like, all right. So one of the beauties about land is that it doesn't move. Like, there's no buyers for it. And people that are buyers for it are cash. So 90 days pass. He comes back. Hey, I remembered you wanted to buy my land. Are you still interested? He's like, yeah, of course. He's like, I want 15 for it. He's like, dude, I remember you. I told you 8. He's like, all right, it's like 8. So we got on a contract for 8. What do we do with it? We sold it on Marketplace for $8,000 down, $500 a month for 5 years. What was the actual numbers on that? Well, $8,000 went straight to the seller, and now we collect $500 a month for doing nothing. That's equivalent to a rental cash flow on a $35,000 lot. So we're like, okay, I don't want any houses anymore. I want land that I can be the bank on because I don't have to manage tenants, toilets. I'm the bank. They just pay me payment and interest. That's it.
So what's the difference between take that story that you had just told us just now, and you take the seller who was looking to sell his land for 15, but couldn't get a buyer for it. And what did you guys do differently that you were able to find a buyer for what you bought it for?
So here's the problem with land. No one finances it. So if you can finance it via seller financing, you can sell it for whatever you want. So as houses, you can only sell a house comp. There's 5 house comps in the same area that sold this year. You know, like it's a 3-bed, 2-bath neighborhood. You know what it's going to sell for. Like there's no top. You know what the top is. With land, there might not be verifiable comps. There might not be verifiable buyers. So if you can fix the financing and a low cash down payment, it's a win-win. You can find any buyer at any price point.
Who are the buyers?
Blue collar, immigrants, minorities. We essentially take our land that isn't affordable, 100 acres, $1 million plus, that not many people can afford. We'll subdivide that down into bite-sized portions, let's say 10-acre tracts, and we'll sell those to individuals. Blue collar people that have money, 1099 employees, maybe agents, investors. They want that. And this is where we like land within 60 minutes of any major city because they're willing to travel for their paradise. Whether they build a house, whether they hunt on it, they want something within a reasonable distance from where they live, because most people live in the city because there's work there, right? So as long as they can travel there, commute there, they can live there, they can put a mobile home on it, they can go plant a vineyard or something on it, whatever. It's within reasonable distance. That's where the sweet spot is.
So when you're looking for land, what are the things you mentioned, within an hour distance from the city and things like that? What other things do you look for that makes it a good land property?
So it depends what type of land. So this is one of the conversations I was just had on the call. If it's smaller, we're usually looking for a discount. We usually try and buy 50 cents on the dollar or less. So if it's worth 100, we're going to try and pick it up for 50,000 or less. The reason why.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.
Is because this is a simple, really good cash on cash return. Is if you can sell it for $10,000, $20,000 down, you're only into the deal $30,000. That financing might be $800, $900 a month. You're going to get like a 40% cash on cash return with a deal like that. I'm not even doing the math right now. That's probably going to be a 40 to 50% cash on cash return. Somebody can call me out later and figure that out. But with $20,000 down on a $100,000 lot, $30,000 finance of your own capital, and you're selling it for $100,000. There's $70,000 cap, essentially seller financed. That's probably going to pay $700-800 a month or more.
Where are you finding the buyers?
Facebook Marketplace, and we text agents. And if we can get title, we'll list on MLS. And we just offer seller financing. So all the deals that don't move on the MLS is because they're wanting cash. Goes back to that one problem. Every land will sit on the MLS for a year or 2 years, and it's not even like it just happens. So when we contract these land parcels, we ask for 90 days minimum because we need time. It's going to sit on the MLS for 2 years anyway. Give me 90 days. Let me see what I can do. And that usually gives us enough time to create the win-win scenario. We usually give the buyers their price, and we'll come in and create the financing or whatever we need to do at that point to seller finance it to the end buyers, where the blue collar people come in and buy it.
What's a typical structure that you have for your seller financing?
It depends on the buyer and what they can afford. Usually we structure it to whatever they can afford. Like we sold a lot last year. He wanted like 10-year financing, which is like $2,000 a month. He paid us off in a year. He was giving us like $8,000 a month. So a lot of these people, blue collar people, and especially minorities, they have these they're like construction workers, they're contractors, they have a high income, but they just need that extra stretch of seller financing and they can pay it off. And they usually pay it off very quickly.
What are some of the things that, as you know, someone looking to get into land or do something similar to this, what are some of the, I guess, the biggest mistakes that they would typically make as they get started in land?
I would say buying the wrong deals. I mean, there's a risk with anything. You have to know the basics. We buy floodplain properties. I wouldn't recommend it. Like when you first start off, you got to know, you got to understand you're buying at a good price. There could be a lot of stuff that comes up in different markets. So like in Florida, you can there could be like endangered animals. So you might have to do like endangered animal study to make sure that there's no like endangered turtles or bird species on your property, especially for places like Florida. Other states like Texas, they might not care as far as if subdividing and all that stuff over a certain size acreage. So it really depends on each market. And like I said, we're mostly Texas. We're now venturing into a lot of different markets right now. We have a deal in Florida, we have a deal in North Carolina right now, and we have 2 deals in Tennessee. So we're kind of venturing out into other markets, but Texas is probably the easiest state in my opinion, just because that's where we've done most of our deals as a whole.
When you first got started in land, how did you start building up the deal flow? And then how did you start to scale it to build it up even further?
That's where HiveMind comes in. So HiveMind CRM is our automation platform. I've been doing land for about 4 years. We launched HiveMind CRM 2 years ago, and that was out of necessity because like staying organized and marketing is just a pain for most businesses. So we launched that, and then now we help other entrepreneurs and whether land investors or other entrepreneurs in general automate their business through marketing. So it's texting, emailing, website hosting. We text blast our agents using it. We text our sellers using it. We text a lot of people, cold call, RVM. We do a lot of different versions of that strategy using our CRM.
Oh, awesome. So land came first, and then HiveMind was a product of your land entrepreneurship business.
100%, yeah. Land was first, and then we kind of learned our path and our strategy and honed in on our strategy. And that's to the point where we kind of do a lot of different things right now. But 100% land. I don't want any houses. I don't want any doors. I don't want anything else. I'm all 100% land investor.
When you first got started, especially, how did you choose the market? Because right now you said you're primarily focused in the Texas market. How did you choose Texas as your primary market? And then how did you start to expand?
That is a great question. I am a what's the word I'm looking for? I am a hybrid visionary, and if you're familiar with traction, I'm a hybrid visionary and a hybrid integrator. So I actually met my partner, and he's a visionary 100%. So I actually met my partner in real estate. So I help the back end of systems, and he's in Texas based. So it gave me the ability to work from home, and that's what I like. That's what I wanted at the time, and I still work from home even now. I work from home since I started entrepreneurship as a whole, but they gave me the ability to leverage my skill set without having to go sign contracts.
When you were first getting started, you said that land is primarily cash buyers only. And so there's not a lot of financing, especially when you first got started. How are you financing the deals to be able to purchase all cash as you were growing your business, to get to the point where you're able to start offering seller financing?
One, we always try and get a great deal, like the $8,000 deal. That's always number one. If we can get a deep enough deal and get that as a down payment, that is a home run deal. I interviewed another investor on my podcast. he's did that for 5 years and he created 50,000 a month in cash flow. So it's small baby steps. Excuse me. It's small baby steps, but it can build a lot of traction over time. What we started doing is we started focusing on bigger deals because there's not a lot of people that can afford $1 million property. And once you figure out our niche, we're able to bring in private capital in to pay off the seller, and we're able to seller finance it at that point. And then what we started doing was we'd sell off the notes. There's a whole nother like third party market. Like you said, real estate's so vast. There's a whole nother third party market of note buyers that will buy your note. So we've been liquidating all our notes to essentially seller finance everything we have, because seller financing is the key to selling land.
At what point did you decide to make that transition and go into land investing and real estate full time? And do you still have your trucking company as well?
No, my trucking company went under. My trucking company went under. I lost $100,000 on that, and it was a hard pivot into real estate just to survive. That is the short answer.
Got it. And so what's been the biggest struggle within real estate so far?
Right now it's been a lot of capital. Capital doesn't understand land like no one, like everybody else in real estate. So you kind of have to educate your capital resources of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And then it's just one of the struggles we had was getting enough, because as these deals get bigger, you have to bring in capital in place to buy and acquire. So that's kind of been our struggling point, which I think we're getting a handle on it now, but it's one of those things with growing points. And this is where I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle as a whole, is financing. If you can get the financing in your real estate business, it unlocks unlimited possibilities.
Yeah. So, especially in today's market where the financing is just kind of all ups and downs.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
As you were growing up your business too, one of the things you mentioned was, you met your partner who's a visionary, and you also were able to make other connections and build out your network. What has been the best place for you to find those people that you wanted to surround yourself with and work with in this business?
In my opinion, I feel like we've learned 30 years of real estate in 4 years. And I'm not exaggerating in any way, shape, or form. It's like we've learned so much about a lot of things. And this is it might take years to acquire the knowledge we've learned. And a lot of that we paid with deals. Like a lot of people were like, oh, I'm not going to sell to that buyer because he's going to lowball me. We paid mentorship with deals. Like, we got this deal. How much you want for it? I don't know. Just teach me something. And we literally paid in deals to our mentors, because a lot of people people struggle with three things, and it depends what level you're at in real estate in general. Like when you're first starting out, the big struggle is knowledge. You have no information. You don't know what a deal is. You don't know what a deal looks like. Then you got to come to a point where you need time to acquire deals. Once you get the knowledge, you got time. And then the last part you need is once you get the time and knowledge in there, then you need capital to buy and to accelerate your business. So it's kind of like different stages of a pain that you go through as a land investor, or as an investor in general, that you kind of grow through. And the education is, I think, we've kind of reinvested in our education versus in other things, because the education, I think, is accelerated us to another level as well, just because, like I said, the things I know in here is priceless. Like, you're not going to learn that in any other course, or you're not going to learn it anywhere, bottom line.
I think that's incredible that you were able to think about ways to add value in exchange for knowledge, because knowledge is powerful. Knowledge can get you so much further. And so you said you paid for mentorships in deals, which is really interesting.
It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. Mm-hmm. This is one of those things where, like, I want all the money. I'm like, no, teach me something, because you can learn a lot from a 20-year vet. You can learn a lot from a 10-year vet.
Right.
And if you're in that space to receive it and you're ready to receive it, you don't even need that. You don't even need that much. You don't need to spend that much time with them. It might be And this is where like a lot of our mentors, we can call them up and like, hey, we got a problem. Oh, this is how you solve it. Boom. Oh, thank you. Like having that at your fingertips is priceless.
No,
And we paid for that with deals. Like they weren't offering mentorship. You just had to serve them up something. And sometimes it's a deal you have on hand that might feed you for a while, but like this is all I got. Take it. Teach me something. Or be on my my Rolodex, you know. Can I call you when I have another one and I need an opportunity like this? Because the funny thing is like the deals we served up were stuff we couldn't even solve anyway. We just served it up and they taught us how to fix it. So now we know how to fix that problem and we don't necessarily have to rely on them to fix it, but we still do when we pay it forward even now. Like instead of giving you the whole deal, hey, we'll give you 5-10 grand to solve it for us. Thank you.
I think a lot of times people are so afraid to get started and to even ask the question whether or not it's possible, and approach, like you said, a 20-year vet and ask them, for mentorship in exchange for something else. But it's so surprising time and time again, especially in real estate, how willing people are to share their knowledge and to want to help other people around them. It's such an interesting place to be in.
It really is. Like these people weren't like offering mentorship. Like you couldn't pay them for a mentorship. You couldn't. They just weren't doing it. They didn't have the capacity to handle mentorship. And this is one of the things really you got to be creative. Like if somebody has knowledge that you want, you have to be creative to acquire it because money might not be the thing they need.
Absolutely. And you guys were definitely creative about that.
And that's where it comes down to. And I tweet a lot. I'm on Twitter. Daniel Hyman on Twitter, but I tweet a lot on Twitter, and it's a lot of people in real estate a lot of people think real estate is about houses or doors or multifamily or storage or square footage or industrial space. It is not about any one of those things. It's about finance. Because if you can unlock the financing, you can buy whatever you want.
So Daniel, for you in real estate in this upcoming year, are you still moving forward, and what are you looking forward to next?
This year is going to be our biggest year of real estate. And it all came down to us pivoting to larger deals. People think $100 million sounds impossible, but if you're going after $1 million deals, it's only 100 deals. Like if you really think about it that way. So it was one of those things where like we're going after any deal we could find. And when we focused and honed in on bigger deals, now all this stuff are coming in where right now we have like $14 million of land under contract right now that we might do 20 million of land acquisition this year. Or 20 million, what 100 million? Well, that's if I did this for 5 years, that's $100 million. Whoa. It's crazy how that works.
Daniel, how has real estate investing impacted your life?
It changed everything. It changed everything. It changed how I thought. It changed how I think about every financing in general. I look at everything through a different lens. I mean, I took my kids. My oldest is 5. I took her to a school, and I'm counting the teachers. I'm counting the school's pockets. How many kids you got per class? How many classrooms you got? You got 2 teachers. Okay, I don't know how much they're charging for tuition. So my brain, like my number side of my brain just goes nuts whenever I walk into any situation where I can, NOI is probably this. If I can sell it at 10 cap, it's probably worth about $200 million. Okay. My brain just goes to the math, and that's what I'm good at and I like. And it's kind of a bad place to be in when I'm talking about my kid's school, but that's instantly where it goes to. And then like the admissions, like, so like, they asked us to come in at a Tuesday afternoon to go. Both parents come in to go talk to the counselor, and they're like, "So did you get off work today?" I was like, "Yeah, I had to text my boss if I can get off today." My wife's just like, "Stop it!" Like he's self-employed. He's messing with you.
And so, Daniel, what is the one thing that you know now about real estate that you wish you knew when you first started?
In my opinion, land is the best asset class because it's given me an opportunity to create infinite returns, which in every other asset class are almost impossible to do.
And what is the one thing that sets the successful people apart in real estate investing?
How fast you can absorb other people's knowledge and information, because you can shortcut years of pain and suffering and experience through other people's stories and knowledge.
I have to follow up with this question, Daniel. What motivates you, or how do you have this drive to seek out knowledge, to find out, what other people are doing and try to soak in as much as you can? Like, where does that come from?
It comes from the stem of I only have so much time on this planet, and people in other races and generations were passed down this information, and I want to make sure I can do that to my kids, because I only have however much time I have left on this earth to do. And I'm going to do that hopefully through my family and my teachings and my podcast and my education, because not everyone is afforded the same privileges as anybody else.
And Daniel, where can our listeners find out more about you and what you're doing?
I am at HiveMind CRM almost on every platform that has content out there to consume. I have our own podcast, Hive with Us Podcast. Best place to find me is our private Facebook group at HiveMind CRM. We post a lot there. We share a lot of information there, and you can DM me on Facebook. I talk a lot of stuff on Twitter if you like drama side. I just like having fun, and nobody cares about a 4% ROI.
Well, 4% right now, you can get that just putting it in savings.
It's too close to inflation. Like, I'm good.
Daniel, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for all of your time today.
No, thank you for having me. I hope everybody learned something today.
Thanks for watching this YouTube video. We hope you found value. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to watch more videos just like this one.